Thank you, Ravi and elets, for giving me this opportunity. I come halfway between government speakers and industry speakers. Okay. When I was asked to speak on security and efficiency, looking at the profile of the attendees here, I decided not to get into the technical part. And I thought, let me put before you the business case and some evidence which will enthuse you to adopt more and more of cloud. And what I'm going to do here is to share some statistics, some use cases, and share some scenarios where you can use cloud to improve your delivery of services. We all have heard the two upper points, less government and more governance in last few days, and do more faster with less. And that's possible in a big way by going for cloud, which removes the burden of building and maintaining large computer systems. Lots of speakers have talked about that. Provides unlimited computing and storage capacity. Increases disaster preparedness with built-in backup. Reduces cost, time commitment upfront, and simplifies access with secure capabilities. And that's the reason lots of governments are also adopting it in a big way. So here are some of the statistics. You see, it has grown 300% in 6 years worldwide, adoption of cloud, from 46 billion in 2008 to 150 billion in 2014. The global cloud computing industry growth rate is currently 5 times higher than that of global IT growth rate. There were 2 surveys done in recent past, and the results of those surveys were that out of every 10 CIOs, and 8 out of them, they are delivering their infrastructure through private cloud. And out of them, 6 out of every 10 consider cloud computing to be their top priority. There are 50 million servers worldwide today, and 60% of them are already virtualized. Of global 1,000 companies, 30% are expected to broker 2 or more cloud services for both internal and external users. And the list goes on. We can see here half the US government has moved to the cloud. Now that's another big milestone here. And the same survey also found out what is the biggest activity which is happening on the cloud, and surprisingly that's banking. We don't consider that, or we don't put that, keeping in view the kind of security consciousness they have. So apart from that, it also brings down the cost, and users who are moving their apps to the cloud, they save on an average 21% per year. 84% of CIOs report that they have cut application costs by moving to the cloud. Companies that use cloud to deploy their applications spend 1/4 on the personnel, and the firms which have shifted to cloud and managed services half reduced their IT expenditure up to 25%, 1/3 of them by 25% or more, and 13% of them, the saving was more than 50%. Now comes the security part. And there is a general concern that if we move our data from our own data centers, put it somewhere, is it going to be secure? And this was mentioned even in the first session. And here is the response of, again, some of the IT professionals and the CIOs. More than half of IT professionals rank security as the top reason for migrating applications to the cloud. Of those currently using cloud, 85% are confident in their cloud provider's ability to provide a secure environment. And 56% of survey respondents trust the ability of cloud providers to protect the sensitive and confidential data entrusted to them. Now, what happens if you are managing your own data centers? You need to update the security, all such aspects, day-to-day basis. On the other hand, if the agency whose bread and butter lies only in this, they put in their best effort, and as Mr. Pramanik mentioned in the first session, Microsoft has a cloud offering called Azure. More than 1 million servers are there. Now, and a huge amount of revenue comes from there. If that is not secure, then naturally the business will go somewhere else. And hence, the more and more CIOs and even the CXOs have started believing, and now that the systems, the cloud is offering more security than what their own IT systems can do, apart from cost, agility, and other things which we saw earlier. Mr. Bhaskar had mentioned about 2-3 certification. In fact, Windows Azure has accreditation for all of them, starting from ISO 27001, SOC 1, SOC 2, Cloud Security Alliance, Cloud Control Matrix, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards, UK G-Cloud Impact Level 2 accreditation, HIPAA, Family Education Rights and Privacy, FedRAMP, and FISMA. Now, infrastructure which has so much of accreditation, no other individually owned private cloud or even the data center can have that kind of accreditation. So with this, I put before you the case for how and why there is a need for even the government agency to move to the cloud, which decision has already been taken, but also to the public cloud, rather than keeping everything in what Neeta ma'am is creating. In fact, we are one of the partners of in that effort, which has gone live and on which about which she talked about earlier. So let me give you some use cases from the government across the world. See, disaster and crisis management is something where you need to bring back, and the time taken to bring back the services is very, very important. So in Japan, when they had the earthquake in March 2011, they used Microsoft Azure for putting up their application, for providing information and many other interactive services for those who are affected by the earthquake. Mexico Internal Revenue Agency, the government decided that all taxpayers whose tax returns are more than 10 million peso, which is almost 10 million rupees, for them any transaction which costs more than 1,000 peso, the electronic report has to be uploaded. Now just imagine one government declaration meant that all electronic transactions above 1,000 peso has to be reported by the seller and the buyer. They had to do the entire thing in 3 months. They went for cloud-based service. So what happens, they created the interface, the portal for where the buyer seller could update the data, upload the data, and the information then flows into the data center of the revenue department. And interestingly, the tax department is in Mexico, but the data center, the cloud data center of Microsoft which was used was in US, or rather is US. Third one, innovative citizen services, kind of like 311 application in US or similar kind of thing which suddenly you put there, and there is a huge response from people to avail those services. You need to have that kind of elasticity, and that only they can provide, and there are some of the states which have gone for Microsoft Azure. Similarly, for enhancing government delivery system, open government, and the big data. The big data, one example I will give you here is weather and disaster relief data is now being used, structured and unstructured both, to verify insurance claims. So if you have claimed insurance of crop failure, then they cross-check it with data coming from weather and other sources and match it and see whether your claim is correct or not. Similarly, the same big data concept is being used by Thai police for investigation purposes, where they get data even from social networking sites. And they are compiling it from newspapers here and there, and then using that, and they have been able to reduce their investigation time dramatically. So this is my last slide. Some of the scenarios where how we can use the cloud. Based on my own experience of long years in the government, I see first application is for development and test. Once you decide that I'm going to develop an application, in our time we were acquiring the machines required for that. You don't need to do that. The second one is for app development takes place, testing is done, and then you need infrastructure for hosting that. That comes from the cloud. Flexible storage, recovery, on-demand infrastructure, and then it also brings a new thing, which is identification of users, whether internal users or external users, based on identity, what kind of role the user could be given, and of course the data analytics. In a short period of time, I thought let me put before you some of the statistics and use cases which put across the point that how the governments in other parts of the world are going in a big way for using public cloud, and we can also do similarly in the country. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity.